Great. Since it's 6, we'll start. Maybe some people might join slightly here and there, so we'll give them a chance. Let me just see how many have so far come. Okay. So just before we start, a few guidelines. Let me just open this as a screen view. Now you all can see the screen, right?
Yep.
This is a Property Expert Academy website. I'm going to give a formal introduction a little later in case your first time on this. Just bear with me. There are slides. Sure people who are looking to still join some of so just bear with me. So just few notes. Of course, we have people coming from, first of all, my name is Sumit. I'm from Property Expert Academy. Welcome you all for this Property Investor Meetup group. Our aim is to basically help each other, especially the people looking to invest in London or in UK in general. So we have a lot of people who are service provider or some people who are probably in the journey of investing in properties, and they all like to, of course, benefit by sharing the wealth of the networking. So in this chair, there are just few rules and guidelines just to I like to go through. So at this PIM, which we call it Property Investment Meetup group, we believe that you can achieve more by working together. However, it is your responsibility to do your due diligence, spend time with other people, really get to know before you start working with them. Yeah, and also few just regulation part as well. Due to FCA regulation, we are not just going to raise our hand and say I'm basically offering X amount of percentage of return. So please be careful with that. And of course, the way we go is like so that we don't over speak on each other. We just raise our hand and then you can unmute yourself once you see some signal, and then we can share whatever, or if there is any questions. Yeah. So, or we are not really coming up here saying, I'm looking for a joint venture partner and X amount of percentage return and anything like this. Yeah. So I would suggest, instead of just offering something straight away, spend some time in networking. We'll of course go through a breakout room, so we'll have enough time to personally get to know each other, and of course we'll go around and ask people to formally introduce. So we will know who is doing what and where one can help other. Yeah. So then that way you will get to know each other, and then before you make some offer to them, at least have some time with them. So these are just some guidelines. Just allow me a few seconds. I think some more people just joined. So I hope they are all okay to hear and see my screen well. Great. You can so if you have any question during this time, you can always use the chat box. Keep writing your questions here in the chat box. If you have anything that you like to directly address, you can also send the message to everyone or privately to somebody, whoever you like to contact. And if you are happy, you can share your contact details so the other people can also contact you. So you're more than welcome during this session. You can put your details in the chat box. Yeah. So what we will cover today is first about Property Expert Academy. Those who are first time on this PIN meeting. On this PIN meeting, we will know who we are, what we offer, and then we'll have a mortgage update by the expert. Today we have a Grant here. Thanks. Welcome, Grant. He's going to go.
Lovely to see you all.
Thank you. So then, of course, we always like to work with the people, and having a right mortgage advisor is very important. So that's why, to choose the right people, that can sometimes you make your deal, which may not be otherwise viable, and that can become viable, just having a right kind of finance that's available. So we will get to know more from Grant later on. And then we'll also go through some latest property news, what's going on in the especially UK property market, because this is all UK based. So in general, we'll of course cover the whole UK property market, but then of course we are based in London mainly. So most of the people you will find they are also in London. So mostly we'll discuss about what's going on here and around the area. So today, so every month we have a different property learning topics. Today we are going to cover property lease, the property lease option, the purchase lease option on a property. Because we'll discuss about that, why this is very important, especially in this current climate. And so we have chosen this topic for today. And then we'll all have a chance to prepare our 1 minute pitch, elevator pitch. So you can prepare for that. Whatever you like to say, you design in such a way that once the time comes, you can explain everything in 1 minute's time. And also we'll have a then networking breakout rooms so that we'll know as well who is basically interested in joining in which room. So you'll be able to go into a room where you can interact with only very close group of 3 or 4 people or 5 people, depends on each rooms. And then of course at the end we will have more detail about if you really wants to join a Property Expert Academy on any level or any programs, or like to do networking with us. And there are some links if you like to join us on Facebook. There are Facebook groups also going on, and then also we'll have a question answer. So of course after every session you will have an opportunity to ask a question. Let's say for a mortgage update, if you have any questions for Grant, you can ask him after the session. He'll have around 15 to 20 minutes to run through the presentation and then answer any question. So a couple of questions we can take up straight away then, and some question in case if we can't cover, we can always cover them at the end. So let's see. So some people are just still adding. So who we are basically. So my name is Sumit Gupta, as I explained. I'm a founder of Property Expert Academy. I also own quite a few other property related businesses, such as a surveying practice called Global Property Consulting. I'm RSS registered valuer. So I'm probably one of the surveyors. So I've basically studied a chartered accountancy. So I'm quite good in finance and tax planning. I've studied surveying, so I understand the building from foundation to the roof. I've also studied a property law. I've fought over hundreds of cases in court, tribunal, high court, land chamber. So I'm probably one of the most multi-skilled property surveyor you will ever see out there. Here's a little bit more about me. So I'm an investor. I also have my own property portfolio. I'm property surveyor, author, trainer, mentor. We have a lot of training program. I've written more than half a dozen of books on property and finance. So I've got some other businesses, as I mentioned, in property, the Global Property Consulting, one of them, which is purely the surveying practice. So if you have any, surveying related query, whether you want evaluations, I'm specialized in lease extensions, rent review. I think last month we covered more about lease extensions. So there are a lot of videos. I'll share a little bit of my YouTube videos, YouTube links. So you can always go back and see. So if you need any surveying related help, that's the company you can contact. And then we have a property solution company, which is a property sourcing company. So by all means, of course, you can take a screenshot if you need, and then I'll send some links as well, so you can directly contact us anyways. So property solution company is mainly sourcing properties. If you get stuck anywhere in property related matter, as I mentioned, since I'm multi-skilled, so there are many things I can't really explain it all in one. So we normally tell that whenever you get stuck with any property related matter, just give us a call and we'll find a solution for you. Yes. So now this is one of my book, Guide to Commercial Property Conversion. Now we also have a second edition that's available on Amazon. I'll send you some links later. This is another book, The Ultimate Guide to Property Investment. We are on its second edition. This is where I explain about 10 best property investment strategies that has made millions of pounds to our investor, and many other investors has used those strategies to make money. We'll be covering one of the strategy today. So this same one on second edition. Then this is the money. The book, how to make, manage, maximize, and master money. This is not just the book on property, but also in journal, how we can really make our finances, how we can manage them well. So that's what you will find here, like making, managing, maximizing, and also mastering. A bit of spirituality also I added. I'm also volunteer of one of the spiritual organizations, so I do that. Now these are some links. So I'll probably put it in a chat box as well, but then I'll go very quickly here. So we have this property, the Facebook group, which is a property investor meetup group. So even after this program, after this session, if you have any questions, you can always post your comments. You have anything that you like to share, if you have any deal that you like to share with other groups. So make a note of this group called Property Investors Meetup group, and you can join us there, so you'll get update, and also you can ask any questions, share any post. Then we have this, that's a link on the Facebook. And then we have a Property Expert Academy, a Facebook page. You can join us there. There are regular news that you can see, lot of videos that I make, or you can find, as soon as the video gets released. Of course, you can also, subscribe to this Property Expert Academy YouTube channel, where a lot of, videos you will find related to lease extension, buying property, cash flow, so a lot of series of videos I've done there. You will be able to see there, and do subscribe to that channel. Then we have a global property consulting channel as well. Again, here, many times I've got property deals. So we also advertise some of those property deals in case if you're interested. So you can subscribe to this channel as well, and then you will get notified. Let's say we're looking for a joint venture partner on any particular deal, or we're looking for whatever deal that comes, you will be able to find some videos regarding those. So it's like a virtual tour for a property. So these days, especially in lockdown, we don't have to go to the property, especially you can just see many things just on a video, and then only at the final stage when you're ready to go and do a deal, that's when we can just take you to the place. And then we have a Twitter account. This is a link for that. Instagram, again, you can follow us there. Let me just see if I can put all of them in a chat box quickly. Okay, chat. Okay, so all these links which I discussed about, I have mentioned. Now you will be able to see all of those links here. So you can save them. Now, what I like you to do as well, we'll go around in a circle. Since we don't have many people, we can just take our, very short introduction, 30, 40 seconds, just so we know each other, who we are, where are we joining from, what is the purpose of our, what is the purpose that we have, why we are here today. So just allow me a few seconds. Screen needs time to load up. I hope you all got those links all right? I'll just quickly check in the chat box. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so just need to do some logistic part here. I'm making a couple of co-hosts, so just allow me a few seconds. Okay, I think for that maybe I need, just allow me a few seconds. I'll first stop sharing this, and then let me make few co-hosts, because Grant is going to share today, so I need him to also be co-host and then share his screen. And I'll make Mahesh, he's here to assist us today. So thanks, Mahesh. I'm also making you co-host. Fair enough. So let's me go back again to this screen. I think we were up to here. You can see the screen well. So what we'll do is we'll go one by one. We'll share our name, where are we joining from, and what do we do, just very quickly, and then what inspired you to come today for this session. Let me just go back again, in case if you want to see the screen once again. Yes. In fact, I think I don't need to share the screen now, right? So I'll just stop sharing. So all we need, just name where you're joining from, what you do, and then what is the main, what is that inspired you to join today? Yeah. So let's start. Who would like to start first? We need volunteers to start. Okay. Yes, you're Grant. Yes, please go ahead. Unmute yourself, please.
Thanks. Thanks again, Sumit, for having me tonight. So my name's Grant, and I'm based in South Wales, but as you can probably tell, it's not a Welsh accent. I'm Essex and London born and bred. I just happened to move over here when we got married. But I work for Harvey Bowes, so we're a specialist property finance company where we deal with a whole of market of lenders. We specialise in doing property finance for HMOs, multi-unit blocks, buy-to-lets. We look at portfolios, we look at developments. we're all property investors ourselves. So that's one of the key things. If you do a lot with other property networking events, ensuring that you're dealing with the right people, you're speaking with the right people. And, as Sumit said at the beginning, your network is your net worth. So events like this are really, really important for your continual journey.
Thank you. Welcome, Grant. It's lovely to have you here today. Yes, who would like to go next to introduce? I think we just had some new people just join. So we are still on the stage of introducing ourselves. So yeah, please unmute yourself or like. Yes, Pink, do you like to go next? Yeah, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you well. Yeah.
So my name is Peng. I'm based in Islington in London. Basically, my background, we are in construction. So personally, I'm a qualified construction person. So I deliver and design construction projects. Yeah. And my family were in real estate. So we develop our own land. But not in the UK, it's in another country. Yeah.
What inspired you to join today?
Oh, I somehow got onto your mailing list. Actually, I don't know how. But so I just weekend I got more time. Weekday I work long hours. I work at least from 8 to 6. So I think weekend event is easier for me to join. So that's why I'm joining here now to learn more about your organization, and then to learn something from Grant, and then to mingle with a few like-minded people. I agree with you. Your network is your net worth. Yeah.
Great, Ping.
Yeah,
Welcome.
and I believe that everyone here who want to introduce themselves now to network, they need to turn on the video because it's hard to network.
Very well said. Yeah, I would suggest the same. Yes.
Yeah.
Please, so we know actually who you are, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So of course, there's no mandatory thing, but then of course, if you switch on, because we are a networking event, imagine like having no face on in front of our name is very difficult, right?
Yeah.
So please, yeah. So who like to introduce next? Yes,
Mahesh. Yeah.
Hi guys, this is Mahesh. I would like to introduce myself. First of all, thanks giving me the. Santosh wants to join.
Yes, I just joined. Yeah, added him.
Yeah. So thanks. First of all, thanks Sumit bhai to give me this opportunity. So where I can, I'm a learner in this field, and I would like to grab as I can, and that's why I'm here to learn from you all guys. And thanks Sumit bhai to giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Welcome, Mahesh. Good to see you here. Yes, who would like to go next? Peter?
Thank you. Hi guys. So
Hi.
I'm Peter from South London. I'm a furloughed revenue manager for a hotel company, and during my furlough, I decided to start my own company. So I'm trying to set up a sourcing business at the moment, and yeah, I'm basically here for the content and for to network.
Welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
Would you like to go next?
Hi, my name's Lara. I'm originally from London, but I now live in the East Midlands. Apologies, I have a dog. I'm basically came across the link for the group because I'm at the early stages of starting out my property journey. So I'm here to absorb as much knowledge from you guys because you're there, you've been doing it for years. So I'm hoping that what I learn from you guys, I'll be able to take in and start my own journey.
You're welcome, Laura. Do make notes today, whatever you learned today. Yes. Next. Who would like to go next? Bugs, Catherine, Yogesh, Santosh. Yeah. I think the camera shy, is it? Okay, we'll give 30 seconds in case if you are going to introduce yourself, or anyways, there will be another chance. So when we go for elevator pitch or breakout room, you can share them. So if everyone is okay, then we'll start with our mortgage update. And today we have a Grant who is from Harvey Woods. So of course, I'll let you, I think you've already introduced. So I'll let you take over from here just to give us some update on the mortgage up and also what are the opportunities available in finance market. So over to you, Grant.
That's great. Thanks, Sumit. And again, thanks ever so much for inviting me to join you all tonight. It really is so important that we get these opportunities to meet other people from all around the country because, like all of you guys, you're not necessarily going to just stick to one type of property in one area. You might find that your portfolio benefits from having a lot more variety. It's very much the same if you're looking to meet people as well within the property industry. We've also held our own property networking events in South Wales for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's amazing how people start out and their own journeys, their own stories, and how that becomes such a big part of their property journeys themselves. So it really is lovely to be here and to see you all for the first time. So I thought I would just share 1 or 2 things about who we are at Harvey Bowes, why it's so good to have a chat to us about your property journey. So although we're based in South Wales, we're in a marvellous little place called Newport, which if you haven't heard of it, don't worry, it's not the most amazing place in the world, but it's very central to everything, being about 10 minutes away from Cardiff, 15 minutes away from Bristol, and about an hour away from Birmingham. So we're actually quite central, even though we're over on one side of the country. All of us at the company either are property investors or we've previously been property investors. So I think that's a big part of everything that we do, certainly as a company, but also the way that we deal with our clients, because you've probably all read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in that book, Robert Kiyosaki talks about how important it is to deal with people that not only walk the walk, but they also talk the talk. That's why you deal with people like Sumit, because he's got that proven track record and that experience to pass on so that you can make a real maximum effort at your own portfolio. We deal with clients across the whole of the UK, but we also deal with a lot of our international clients. And we have a fairly big client base over in Dubai as well for our expat investors over there, and also currently Australia as well. So we specialise in property finance for HMO properties, multi-unit blocks. We also do development and bridging and the staple buy-to-let in whatever form that may be. If you're starting out in a limited company, or even if you're doing it in a personal name or with a JV partner, we understand how this finance works, and we'd love to be able to give you an opportunity to explain a little bit about what you do and see how we can help. So I thought for today, it'd be good to start off with a little bit about what the lenders are currently giving you. And we don't really need to state the obvious facts that we've all been through a pretty tough 3 or 4 months. I don't think any of us saw this coming in 2020, did we? Where we might be asking questions about how we're going to get through the short term and now the long term. So I thought it's good to explore this a little bit and just see where we are currently. So I split this up into 3 parts because, again, we're all going to be looking into very different things as property investors, and our portfolio, a healthy portfolio, is going to have a good mix of properties and styles in there. So I thought if we start by looking at the HMOs. So if you are investing in an HMO, who are some of the best lenders to go to? Well, you may or may not have heard of Kent Reliance, but I would say they're probably one of the most go-to property finance lenders in the market. They are super reliable and have a big team to help you get through anything you may need assistance with. So they're now open again for purchases, specifically for HMO purchases. And you can currently get 75% loan to value at 3.99%, and that's for a 2-year fixed product. If you used to go up to a 5-year fixed product, if you feel that that's going to suit you better at the moment, then they're currently doing that for 4.24%. So those interest rates might seem a little bit high, but it's pretty typical of what we're seeing at the moment, especially if you are looking to buy within a limited company. That's actually pretty much on par with what you can expect. 2 things we really love about Kent Reliance in particular. First of all, it's the long form valuations. Now, to explain this in a bit more detail, you can have one of 2 bread and butter type of valuations if we look at it from that perspective. The first being bricks and mortar, and the second being a commercial valuation. Well, with an HMO, it's kind of commercial because it's got the rental income being quite high, but it's a house. So it's very much a hybrid. So when we look at a long form valuation, they look at the property for its bricks and mortar value, but they also take into account the commerciality of it, or the, you know, the viable aspect of how much rent that property is specifically bringing in. Because if you've got, say, a 6 or 7 bed HMO, you're probably looking at significantly higher rental income versus doing the same size property on a standard assured short hold tenancy. So you are going to be bringing in a lot more money. So the commercial valuation aspect of it becomes a big player in getting you a better valuation for the property. Now, something that we've found fairly recently, now, again, trying times do mean that the banks start to change their criteria slightly. But one thing that Kent Reliance have been really proactive with is making sure that if you're looking to refinance a property that you already own, that you get the very best out of it. Now, for a brand new HMO landlord, this could be quite tricky because you don't have an HMO proven record yet as such. Now, this was really tough. We had a situation I say about 2 months ago, I think it was, where a client had an HMO property and he was refinancing with Kent Reliance. The problem was the property that he had didn't require a license at the time, but it did have the C4 planning, which is imperative to have that if you want to operate an HMO. So what they said was, well, look, this is fine. Don't worry about it. If you don't have a license, then all you need is one of two things. Either a copy of the license from another HMO property, or proof that you've actually applied for it. Now, in this case, we were lucky enough to have both. The client had 2 or 3 HMO properties that were licensed, but he had also put his application in for the license for this particular property pre-COVID. There was just a bit of a backup. So we were able to prove from both counts that he had lawfulness of use for that property. If, however, none of that was in place, it would have been a lot trickier to get that finance through. So it is just worth bearing that in mind. If you are looking to refinance an HMO product currently, make sure that the license is in place. If it's not in place, make sure you've got proof that you've at least applied for it so you can cover yourself on all grounds. What about if you're investing in a multi-unit block? Now, we're seeing a lot more of this, certainly over this part of 2020. So Paragon really are the go-to lender for multi-unit blocks. They're currently available for up to 20 units in one block. Their latest product, so again, all these products have been changing fairly regularly, but these 3 lenders seem to be pretty much stabilised into quite cemented foundations, which is great. So they're offering 75% loan to value at 3.35, and that's for a 2-year fixed product. If you wanted to drop down to 70% loan to value, then you would actually get a 3.05% interest rate. Again, for a limited company, that's actually, you know, really good value for money and won't cost you a huge amount of money either if you are going to be financing that way. These are the only things that are not quirks as such, but the criteria has to be, you know, quite solid to make it work with Paragon. You want to have a minimum income of 25,000 that's provable. And when I say provable, you can't tell them that you earn 25,000 and then your tax return says that you earn 3,000. You want to make sure that the two match up, because any lender's going to see straight through it. It doesn't matter what we tell them, they're going to see it for what it is. So minimum income of 25,000 with some good experience in the background. So if you've got a smaller property portfolio, or you've owned one for, say, like a year or so, they usually do require at least 2 years. But so long as you meet up with all of their criteria, give or take, generally they can be quite accommodating and they are a good lender to deal with. But what I would say is very crucial: make sure that your property is a quality property. Now, I know that's easier said than done because, well, I live fairly close to the South Wales valleys, and a quality property there is very different to a quality property on the border of Bristol. But just make sure that it's not in massive disrepair, or that it's got some major issues that have been overlooked, because Paragon will throw that out immediately. Aside from that, if you know that you've got a quality product, you know that it's been looked after and maintained well and it's renting well, Paragon are absolutely the people you want to go to. Now, this one's quite nice because I think this is where we start to see the interest rate drop back a little bit. So if you're looking for a remortgage, and you're happy to do this in a personal name, not a limited company, then Accord are absolutely amazing. So if you're doing a personal name buy-to-let remortgage, currently they're doing an 80% loan to value at 2.84% for a 2-year fixed, which is really good. That's probably one of the highest loan to values at this current time for buy-to-let purchases, or certainly buy-to-let remortgages. They also operate with human underwriting. Now, let's not get this confused with a computer system. They do use computers and their own internal systems, but they have an attitude where they want to lend. They actively go out of their way to find a way to say yes. And I've never had a bad experience with Accord. You know, I've used them for my own personal residential mortgage. They were really accommodating, and they also send you a hamper when the mortgage completes, which is awesome, especially if you've just moved in and there's chaos around you. That little hamper with some cheese, some chocolate and some coffee, you cannot go wrong. And they also offer free standard valuations. So that can be pretty useful as well. And the turnaround time for that is very, very quick. Now, it's kind of interesting actually, because I've seen a little bit on here that Sumit showed about the commercial to residential conversions book. And I strongly suggest that if you haven't read that, it's well worth giving that a shot, because this is going to be the new normal for a lot of people. And where historically developments have been very much stereotypical developments, you know, you can look at a property development and see it for the way that we've always expected it. But a lot of people are now developing old commercial units into residential properties. And it's actually fairly easy to do, so long as you know what you're doing and you've got the right team on board. So I wanted to share with you one of the best lenders for commercial to residential conversions. And I'll explain these reasons why as well, because this is paramount for a successful conversion. Now, this may be one that you may or may not have heard of, Cambridge and Counties Bank. Now, the brilliant thing about Cambridge and Counties is the way they're funded. So they're actually funded with the money from Cambridge University and Oxford University. So the money they've got feels like it's just this huge infinite pot. But that means that they're not governed by, you know, I was going to say Wall Street investors, but that's a completely different country. You know, they're not consumed by the investment coming from London. It's all from the bursaries going into university. So they've got a bit more control over how they operate. So CCB love the Quirky properties. Now, this is really, really good. You know, if you've got a property in one area that seems completely undesirable, or it's in the middle of a load of shops, or it's in the middle of nowhere, they're going to look at that with a bit more creative input, and they're going to think, right, well, ultimately this is working because it's got a proven track record, this property. How do we find a way to make this work for us as well? And they do use that approach with everything. They're currently offering 2 separate things. So you can get 65% loan to value towards the purchase and 65% towards the works of the property. Now, the great thing about this in particular is that you don't need a QS in order to get that money back. So if you've got the pot of money from CCB, they're actually going to allow you to work in arrears by invoice. So you can do a chunk of work, send them the invoice up to a maximum of £200,000, and they'll then replace that money for you. Anything over 200,000 does require a quantity surveyor to ensure that everything's working the way that it should be. But if you're looking to just do the purchase only, then they will offer you up to 70% loan to value. So all of a sudden, things start to change a little bit. Now, you might see on the right-hand side of the screen that there's a 4.5% interest rate. Now, if we look at those 2 examples, if you was doing the purchase and the works, you could be looking at around 5.5% to 6% interest on that. If you're doing purchase only, you'll be looking at 4.5%. Now, you might see that as being a premium. However, what you're asking of them is a bit more bespoke. You know, it's a bit of a difference between going to Marks and Spencer's and buying a nice suit that fits, or going to a tailor and having one made especially for you. You know, you're really doing that in this scenario. Now, they also don't have any requirements for their tenant types. So if there's like family members, if there's charities, commercial leases, these are all absolutely fine with CCB, and it's well worth bearing that in mind, because the type of tenants that you have coming in, you know, even asylum seekers are another one they're absolutely fine with. Not all lenders actually allow you to exercise specific client types. but CCB are very open to everyone. And they also use manual underwriting. Now, this really means that you're dealing directly with the team to ensure that it goes through the way you need it to, which is absolutely perfect if you've got a property that feels like it just needs a bit more TLC than your standard residential. So the question gets asked, how quirky is quirky? Well, I've just given 2 examples on the screen at the moment that just show some of the properties that we've placed with CCB that have gone through successfully. So the first one is a 6-bed HMO in Bristol. That was a property above a sex shop in the middle of a busy city centre. Now, that might not seem that unusual anymore, but a lot of lenders tend to shy away from those type of locations, and being mixed around the commercial entity, you have to be quite specific about who you go to, but CCB are absolutely fine with it. The other one is another 6-bed HMO, but this time in Wednesbury, which is just outside of Birmingham and Wolverhampton. Now, this particular property used to be a former dental surgery, okay? That was its first high street lender floor. It also had a flat roof, and I believe there was a basement in it as well. And there were several pubs and other commercial units around it. So from a standard lender type of view, it probably wasn't the sort of property that they would look at and go, that's desirable, I'm going to value that really high and lend all of the money towards it. It just wouldn't work that way. In fact, this one we actually placed with 2 or 3 lenders before CCB said, don't worry about it, this is our cup of tea, we can make this work. So hopefully, like from that standpoint, that's really beneficial. So just 1 or 2 more things that I thought would be really nice to share with you tonight. My 3 tips are things that we've learned this month. So every now and then you come across things where you think, oh, that's actually a really good little nugget of wisdom. I feel like we need to share that. So these are my 3. I'm going to be honest, in London, this first one is probably going to be completely non-applicable. However, if you are looking to buy a property outside of London, for example, in South Wales, you can still buy property for about £30,000. It's probably going to need about the same spent on it to bring it up to scratch, but it is possible. If you go out to places like Leeds and Hull, or even further up north, there are cheap properties where for some lenders, they have a minimum property value of 50 or 75,000. Those properties just might not fit with them. So again, if you're buying this as a person, not as a limited company, NatWest are really, really good for this because they don't have a minimum property value. They have a minimum loan value. So that means that property in the South Wales Valleys, or that small place up in Hull that's worth £40,000, and you're borrowing sort of 70% of that, so long as the loan goes above 25,000, you're all in. And that's brilliant. That's a really big fail safe. They also don't have any minimum income requirements. So if you're a landlord and you're bringing in some rental, but it's maybe new, maybe you're in a new job, you don't have a guaranteed income, whatever it might be, these are a great lender for that, because so long as you don't have any bad credit history, these are the ones that are going to really work with some of those minimums that go way beyond what some of the other lenders do. And their best product at the moment is a 75% loan to value purchase in that personal name from 1.87%. I mean, that really is playing the averages, isn't it? That's an absolutely fantastic interest rate. A couple of tips on your bank account as well. So again, post-COVID, this new world of new changes, we are seeing the lenders become a little bit more strict. And where some of them have been, just not worrying about anything in the past, if it looks like it fits, it will fit. Now they are being quite specific. And a couple of things that we've found is that you want to be able to evidence 3 months rental income. You want to be able to show that inside your bank account. Also, evidence of 3 months pay. Now that can be tricky. I know we've gone through a lot, but these are some of the things that they are looking for within the bank statements. And also check your account for incoming and outgoing amounts and ensure there are no discrepancies. Now, this isn't to say that there's dishonest people out in the world. We know that there might be. But what we are saying is make sure that the numbers add up. Make sure that things coming in and things going out are accounted for. We do get people ask questions a lot when it comes to rental, or they start seeing big chunks of money coming in and out of the account. You just want to be able to say what it's for and just prove what's going on in your bank account so the lender feels a bit more at home. And then finally, what do you do if you want to buy at an auction? Now, this is a really interesting part, especially if you're just starting out in property. Generally speaking, you have 28 days to complete on finance for the property that you bought at an auction. Now, you may well think, right, well, today's Monday. I bought my first auction property. I'll now go to my local bank and try and get the mortgage to complete in 28 days. If you can do that, you are an amazing human being because it unfortunately just doesn't work like that. Now, even if you get things together and you get all of your ducks in a line, as it were, and it's absolutely perfect the way that you sort the finance, 28 days is a real push. Now, the biggest advantage for having a property at auction, other than the fact is you might get a better price, but it's the legals that have been done. So the legal pack actually has everything that you need in order to complete on the property. But even then, it's very tricky to get your standard lender to complete in that period of time. So this company is actually based up in the Manchester area called Affirmative. Now, they've got a really clever product, and it's particularly good if you're a residential homeowner with equity in your property. This acts as a bit of a pot. So the frequent flyer product, I think this is really clever. If you've got a property that's got value in it, okay, so let's say you've got £100,000 worth of equity in your residential property. What Affirmative can do is arrange a pre-approved line of credit against the residential house, and it acts as your deposit pot. So you can then start taking money out of it. So that means that property that you bought today, you can use the money that's been used as part of that frequent flyer product on your residential home to pay for that house. If you was to then refinance it, you can pay that back against your residential property, and then the pot of money is still there. So it becomes like a little magical piggy bank almost, where you can go back to it, replenish it, and move it on to the next one. It becomes like a continually like perpetual type of motion account that you can access, which I think is really clever, especially if you are trying to buy something very quickly, but well worth exploring. Now, finally, for tonight, this is more just a couple of little tips if you are looking to get property finance in the short term. So have you made yourself application ready? A couple of things to bear in mind at the moment that you are going to get asked for by 9 out of 10 banks. Do you have an up-to-date property portfolio schedule? Do you have a contingency plan in place from COVID-19? Did you have a plan? Do you know what you're going to be doing going forwards? You'll need a business plan complete with assets and liabilities, and a document outlining one of two things: either a signed document to say that you've taken no payment holidays, or a document showing the payment holidays that you have taken, if they've been paid back, and who the lender is. So what we've actually done is we've accumulated all of these documents together, and we've made a Harvey Bowes application readiness pack. So if you take out us as a broker and you want us to do the finance for you, we will send you this pack so you have everything in one place. So you can fill it out according to your own needs, give us that information, and we can use that with the lenders. So rather than us chasing you a bit further down the line trying to chase it, we know we've got it all together in one place, which is really helpful. So these are my contact details as well, and I'm sure Sumit's happy to pass on these as well. Please feel free to get in touch if you do have any questions, or if you do want to have a chat to us. We do generally encourage people to come in for a cup of coffee. Bit more difficult at the moment, especially if it's on the other side of the country, but it'd be great for you to pop in and say hello, and we'd love to learn a bit more about your property journey and what you're trying to do yourselves. So Sumit, again, thanks ever so much for having me this evening. It's been wonderful to join you all, and if you do have any questions at any point, please feel free to reach out, and I'll try my very best to help. Thanks, Sumit.
Thanks, Grant. Yeah, so of course, you guys can take a picture, or of course, if Grant can also share his numbers in the chat box, so it's much easier for them to copy and keep it. Whichever way, anyways, we'll be here. So, anyone has got any question? It was really beautiful, like with my 20 years of property investment experience, I've noticed many times by having the right type of finance available has made the deal which was otherwise looking not possible became possible, just simply by having the right. So it is, the finance really goes hands in hand, and then having a right type of finance arrangement can also make your property portfolio much more profitable. And when you look at it in over a long period of time, it's a compounding impact. and you see really how much you can grow just by making a small change in your financial decision. Yeah,
That's a really good point. Making those small changes is a really big deal. You know, and looking at how you can leverage the equity within your properties as well is another great way of being able to maximize your cash flow and how you make it function for yourselves. Super important.
yeah, that's all about. I mean, even just, sometimes they say even 1% extra fees in finance can really have a huge impact on your property or any your financial portfolio that you're building over a period of 20 years. That 1% extra fees itself can really make a huge difference. So even that 1% extra interest itself that you pay on your mortgage or that you don't save on your mortgage can also make a huge difference as well when you look at it in a bigger span of time. So yeah, if you have any questions, then please do feel free to either ask now or you can put that in a chat box. I'll share that my screen once again so we can move on. Thank you very much, Grant. So I think we had a couple of more people just joined now. So welcome to those. I think it was KB, then Samuel. Welcome, Samuel. We just had little introduction, but of course we'll be going through one more time in our elevator pitch. So you'll have opportunity to again share. So we just shared so keep your elevator pitch ready, and then so when we go in a network or breakout room, so you can have your name, what you do. Maybe you can still put in a chat box a little bit about yours, like your name, what you do, how you can help others, and what help do you need in property investment journey. Yeah. So let me share my screen once again. So latest property news. So I think just going through once again, like people who have just recently joined. So my background is basically I've studied chartered accountancy. So I'm good in finance and the tax planning. I've studied surveying, so I understand the building from foundation to the roof. I also studied property law, so I understand I've fought over hundreds of cases in court, tribunal, high court, land chamber. Yeah. So now I do get a lot of update from being on RSC's registered valuer. We get a regular update from RSCs and also from other channels. So now we are just going to discuss about post this lockdown and the current issues that we are facing. So of course we all are aware fairly that there will be a massive unemployment going to come. The wage cut we'll see after a while. And of course I think some people may have noticed that. There are predictions that many businesses might also get failed and people might have uncertainty on their job. So people might lose the job. So these are just few things to be aware. But then again, whenever there is a downside, there is an opportunity for investors like us, educated investors, can really make profit or make a good use of that position, because that's a time then you can enter into that investment and make a good use. As the Warren Buffett says, be fearful when everyone else is greedy, and be greedy when everyone else is fearful. So this is a time to basically, take on. Now, RSS research and also Savills has produced some research paper. According to that, this says that the real estate market would fall between 5 to 10% by end of 2020. Having said that, there are some latest news that has also come. There's a mini boost after, this new stamp duty holiday part that we see. Let me skip. So, yeah, I think have we gone back? Okay. Yeah. So there's a mini boost. What we have noticed is in July month, 0.5% has gone up in terms of what was ever since the lockdown, basically. Ever since the lockdown, the first time in the first month, we have managed to see a 0.5% uplift, because I think this boost has been because of this stamp duty holiday. So even the research was showing that there was more than 60% extra inquiries of purchase since the last month, especially because of this. So now today we are going to discuss about a property learning topic, which is the strategy that we normally is one of those 10 best property investment strategies that we run into our 3 days of master class. I'm going to share a bit of that today. And why this is important is because in the current climate, this is really very important that whenever we are doing a deal, we must use this strategy, or like this strategy can really play a great role in our property investment journey. And the strategy, many of us may be familiar, is called purchase lease option. So let's go here and share the slide. So what is purchase option exactly? Like option is a right to buy, but not the obligation. And you buy or do a deal at a fixed price and within a certain period of time. So you have a price fixed, a time fixed, but option is given to you to buy, but there is no obligation. If you decide after that that you don't really want to go ahead with the deal, nobody will force you. You're still off. Yeah, so you can take the upside, but if there's a downside, there's nothing obligation there. Now, what is purchase lease option then? We basically just add a lease into that purchase option. That becomes our purchase lease option. Now, purchase lease option is the same like a purchase option, but with the additional benefit of you being able to rent the place and pay a small money for rental profit. I mean, for a rental using that place actually. That becomes your purchase lease option. Now, why it is important and what are the benefits? I'll go through first quick one and then we'll also go little more in details. So, like this is the best way you can get control of a property, especially when you're starting, to gain the property rental income, and also you can build a bit of equity in it if you have an option to buy in future. And also rather than going and buying a property with 25% down payment, having a mortgage, because many people have the issues of getting mortgage as well. Especially these days, there are a lot of new rules and regulations. So this can really play a very great role when you can just simply control a property. Being a property investor, the main focus that I normally tell people is we are a property problem solver. The more problem we solve, the more money we make, right? And now, in order to solve a problem, you don't always have to buy a property. You can just simply control a property. And property control can be done by a lease option or purchase option. And there are many other ways. We probably go one day more in details, or like in our workshop that we go. But effectively, as long as you can control a property, you solve a problem and you can still make money out of that property investment deal by simply solving the problem. And this can be extremely attractive to anyone who really wants to invest in property. And let's say they are not able to get a mortgage, or they haven't got that large deposit, but they still like to go and buy, or like go and take a big, let's say many times you can really come across with a big deal, which you find and you can spell a profit straight away, but then you may not have a money to put those down payment. But this is the best way. You can just simply control a property and you don't have to really pay much for that. We go more in detail maybe later on. But then, so especially in the current climate when everywhere is uncertainty, a lot of people are also, looking to sell the property, especially Section 24 is there. So people are also trying to, offload some burden of their property portfolio. So this is something we must consider as a property investor. Now, few main criteria what we should look for is, of course, we need to look for the vendors. Only the vendors, those who are looking, those who doesn't want, like the money is not the priority from the sale of the property, but they really wants no headache of maintaining the property, or let's say they may have some circumstances where the situation changes, they're moving out of the town, or they may have something going on in their life. That is why they want to just simply not take a burden of becoming a landlord in a way. So that's the type of landlord we're looking for. And then other main criteria here is also that in the deal where we are trying to take over, there has to be a favorable mortgage conditions. So to meet all those conditions, the owner's mortgage should be ideally relatively on a low interest, or we want as much as possibilities that would be favorable to us. So one of them is, if we look at a deal where the person is looking to sell and then we want to do a purchase option or purchase lease option, ideally we're looking for a very low interest rate. If there is a high interest rate, as I mentioned, so sometimes that interest rate can also make it unviable. So just look out for this thing, that what are the mortgage rate they're paying. Also, if they have a buy to let mortgage, is much easier because we can simply take over that. And we need to ensure that the mortgage they are on, if we can just keep that on interest only, that way our outgoing payment from our outgoing is low. Because there are some other videos I've done, they are on YouTube as well. So of course I'll share the links once again, or you can just search for Property Expert Academy. You will find, like we mentioned about the cash flow, how many times this having the reasonable cash flow can really make a huge boost in your property portfolio. So we need to ensure if we have a mortgage, then it's more mostly like interest only. Also, we need to ensure that the mortgage terms that are left, that has enough, like, so we have like enough amount of time to exercise our right. So the longer the amount we can have, the better the deal for us. Also, then if they have no mortgage at all, that's even much better. It's a bonus for us. Then it effectively sometimes becomes like a vendor finance sort of situation. So like it's the easiest way to step onto the property ladder. Or we'll also going to discuss like how you can even also monetize this and especially go and grow your property portfolio faster. Now, application of strategy. Here we'll just discuss about what we can do. Let's say once we have this lease option taken from a vendor, then you can either use the property for yourself. Like say if you're a first time buyer, or if you're really struggling to get onto the property ladder, this is another best way how you can strike a deal with with a property owner who may not be probably looking for a money straight away, but you just want somebody to look after the place well and then pay them the right amount of money that they're looking for. Second, again, you can later on then exercise that right of buying the property and refinance that property. So while you're holding the property, let's say for example you have taken a 2 or 3 years of purchase lease option, you are staying in the place, and then within that period of time you can add value. And also with the property market as well, depends, it may automatically, with the inflation grow, then you will automatically build some equity that again helps you when you're going for a refinance, or you can finance the property. So effectively you hardly will have to pay any deposit. And then also you can remain a deal as a sandwich. Also you can do, let's say, so you can do a deal and then find another person who can just simply take it over. So you can, let's say, do a purchase lease option deal by saying, okay, I'll pay you £100 to start with, and then something else. It depends how you do a deal. But then at the same time, you can probably ask somebody to pay more higher premium, because in the lease option, you have to pay some premium. So that premium you can ask even more. That will become like your fees. And also, if you prefer, you can just let that property out to AST tenants. So you don't have to live there. You can simply take an option, let it out. So the money that you're getting from the rent is well more than enough than the money that you're paying as a premium to the vendor. You can also creatively think and then also let it as an HMO, which is a house of multiple occupation. That way you can even increase your cash flow even much, much higher. Same way, service accommodation or HL, which is holiday let, is even increases your, like if the property is such that you can use for service accommodation or holiday let, or even you can transform that into a really a high standard and say it's in a very nice place, which is sweet spot, close to the station, more demand, like all those desirable locations where you can have those kind of properties, you can simply make cash flow out of this. So even if you buy or not is a secondary thing, at least you are building your cash flow from the day one while using the strategy. And then you can sell it to a tenant buyer. So let's say if you don't want to live there, for example, there will be many people who are struggling to buy a property, but they will be able to pay you a premium and then have the same contract. So you can simply package it as a deal and then give it to a tenant buyer, and then tenant buyer will be happy to pay you a good handsome fee. Typically 5 to 10,000 pound is very simple, easy way you can charge somebody for this type of deal. So as I mentioned, so deal packaging could be for tenant buyer, or you can even simply give it to another investor. Normally when we do this type of deal lease options, we always have a clause in the contract that those contracts are assignable. So you can simply assign that contract, which means the person who ingoing person will become like effectively having the same rights that you have. You are simply assigning all your rights to the investor clients. And then also, as I mentioned, so this is the best way that you can even buy the whole portfolio in one go. So maybe you may not be able to buy like 10 properties, but as I mentioned, in the current climate, where I've seen even sometime inquiry comes to us, and then there are people who like to get retired. This is Sumit, what, we had it enough, we made enough money. Now they're at the age of 65, 70, and they say all we need is now a great lifestyle. So they just simply wants to say, just take our portfolio. So this is another way you can simply take one portfolio in the one go, rather than going and building it, taking it time. This strategy can really help you to build your product portfolio much quicker. And then another thing you can do is creatively, you can also put it in the auction room. So keep making it more and more, just turn it around. So find a deal. If you have really done package it very well, you can just stick it in auction room, sell it, go back, get another deal, and then you you can do many creative ways. In fact, we go more in details in our 3 days of workshop, but here I'm just giving you some ideas of what can be done by using this purchase lease option. Even there are many people, like if you know Donald Trump and all, I mean, he was buying the property initially just using this lease option or like purchase option strategies. He was probably buying most of the Manhattan he bought like this on purchase option basis. So this is a strategy. Being a property investment, we can't really ignore, or of course, this can really help a lot basically. And why we feel that is good for you. Yeah. So number one, you can gain cash flow straight away because you will buy on a purchase lease option. You can rent it out. So you normally offer lower than the market price for those rental figure. I think we have a couple of people here as well who are specialized into this. Maybe you will get to see them later on. So they are into this kind of thing, especially where they simply take property on a guaranteed rent or on a lease option, and they agree because there is no void that vendor don't have to pay, and they're getting a guaranteed money. So they are always happy to, agree on those lower rent, and you charge more money, and then of course make your cash flow out of that difference. Also, this is another way of, growing your equity, because then while you're holding a property or adding a value into it, it's automatically over a period of time will grow in its value. So you're building your equity in it. And also you don't need a mortgage basically to buy it. So it can really be, like very relief thing for many people who feel that, mortgage is a headache and all. So this is the easiest way. You can simply just take on any property, or without having any deposits of, large deposit that typically you need like 25% for property investment. I mean, to get any better mortgage deal, you need to have this kind of 25% deposit, which sometimes becomes a large amount. And many times people don't really, find it motivated for themselves to, get involved in property. So this is one of the strategies where you can really even buy property with as low as £1. You typically you don't really need a huge amount. As long as you can strike a deal, you can convince the vendor properly, then you don't really need a huge amount there. And it's a fast way of earning money. So you can start earning money right straight, even when you are into the beginning of property investment journey. Use this strategy and start making money. And most investment, do not know much about this. So that's why it's important, of course, I'll send you some links as well, so you can join our training program, where we teach you step by step how you can really do the deals, how you can do contract, what to say to the estate agent, what to say to the vendor, and how to really convince them or show them the value that they're getting. And once you've learned that, so then you will be basically an educated investor, and then you will be able to do the deal, which many people are not even aware of how to do those deals. And then you have less competition, especially there. And why is it right time now? If you see, the interest rates are the low, all-time low now. So best is, if you are really going into the purchase lease option, many times you will find the deals where people are hardly paying any money, and then you can simply take over sometimes their mortgage, and that's more than enough for some people, and that is very low. In fact, or some people, you can advise them that they can switch to the lowest possible deal. And due to uncertainty, this is the best way, because you are not really obliged to buy, and it's the best way that you can simply take the upside. You can simply add value once you're 100% confident that yes, this deal is going to work, this location is good for me, this whatever arrangement you have made is good for you, then yes, go ahead and then exercise the right. Or if you don't have to exercise the right, you can simply find somebody else, charge a huge lump sum fee for your deal packaging, and then somebody else will take it over. And then some landlords now want to sell up their properties, because as I mentioned, many of them, because of many reasons, not only Section 24, but also the personal circumstances, also COVID-19, and because they don't want a hassle of having a tenant, or they don't have time to even manage, or they just want to get retired, or whatever the circumstances. Those people who are looking to sell, is a great time, that for people like us to get involved and fight. And there's not much competition in this purchase lease option. So as long as you creatively know how to do the deal, you know how to solve those problems, then this is really a great opportunity to do. So normally, of course, when we do this purchase lease option training in a live workshop, it's like a 2 days workshop, but now we are offering the recording of that. which is only for 199. So this is a link. Of course, let me see if I can. See if I can just. Okay, as soon as I'll get chance, I'll put this in a chat box. So this is a link for purchase lease option. You can find this on our website. Once you register, you will get a login details so that you can access it and watch it in your own time. So you don't have to even spend time in flying to some place or traveling to some place, staying in a hotel or anywhere. No cost, only this much. And then of course, like this is a lifetime skills we are learning. Once you have learned, it stays with you. Money is nothing. I mean, you can really make a lot more money than that. In fact, we share a lot of tools, tips, like the contract, what type of contract you should use. Even getting a solicitor to draft that contract would cost you more than £200. So this is really no brainer. Like, so you get a lot of practical tools, tips, the contracts and other things, which makes it, so helpful and then saves your time. Like, as I mentioned, I learned very hard way in last 20 years. Those days, anyways, they were not much training available. But now there are many people available who can help you make your journey much faster. So invest in your education, and then that way you can grow much faster and quicker in your journey. So this is another link. Actually, the last month we did another talk on lease extension valuation training. In case if you are looking for that, I'll also share that link later on. But feel free to take a screenshot. And anyways, when you go on our website, which is Property Expert Academy, you go into this product link or shop link, and in there you will find all those products anyway. So once you go there, you can just pick one of those products up, and then of course we have mentioned them. The discount are already listed there, so you can find the discount. And let's say very quickly, I think I won't take much of your time, but let's see. So I'll also take, so apart from that, as I mentioned, when we explain about those 10 best property investment strategies that many investors has used, made millions of pounds, we teach that in our 3 days of workshop. The cost for the workshop is 1997. I'll go very quickly. Also, since we believe in, you to get the result, we also offer you this mentoring session as well, which is normally worth 997 for one-to-one session. So we basically work not only just strategy part, but also where you stand, how to really design your business plan for property investment. That all you can discuss in that session. And then also you will get a opportunity to join our team, which is priceless. So basically you have all the, our training team, which means initially we teach people, but then at a point of time, because we have so many trainings, we also want people, once you get specialized into particular field, then we can be, you can then use us basically, so you can become like a part of our training academy, and then you can teach and then make money from there as well. And then also we have opportunity, whoever basically joins us, they are my client or myself will do a joint venture option. It's optional. If you like, you can always use our clients' funds and ourselves. We can do those option deal, but you don't have to do. If you can still do it on your own, it's great. And then you also earn money by recommending our training program. So we have an affiliate link in our website. You can become our affiliate simply, and then just offer our product with your link, and you get paid from there. So I made that like a prizes, because you can make as much as you want. And then we have a Facebook group, which mastermind Facebook group, which normally costs £600. But once you join us, you have our personalized life. You can always ask any questions that you have. You will always get, other people to help you, and also we'll get, answering all those questions there. So normally all this amount comes to like 3594. I have not even taken the priceless part, but even goes more than that. But then we would like to basically work with you guys. So we have made that whole training program almost one fourth now, 497. We're running it, is still live, but it's online now. So you don't have to travel outside of your house. You can still do the training in the comfort of your zone from your home. And it's only 497 all in. And we'll offer you the mentoring. I mean, again, here, the bonus that we are offering is no brainer now, because even my mentoring session itself will cost more than that 497. So you will get that for free, because all I want is more success story for my business. Therefore, I want to give more and more value, so that I want you to grow, and then you become a success story for our business. And then, as I mentioned, so of course, this joining our training team and all joint venture options you will have. You will also have access to all my power team, whether it's a mortgage broker, solicitor, accountant, whoever we use. Those are like our core team or local team as well, in case if you are in London, Kent, and Surrey. These are the 3 areas where we invest. So if you are joining us, we'll be happy to share all the contractor details in those areas, so you can make a good use of those, which has taken us, many years to build that reputation. And also you will join that group for free. So it's only $497. The only condition here is we're giving this on a discount, but on a expectation that, once you become our success story, once you get success, you just give us a testimonial, a recorded testimonial. That's all we need. And then you have it for $497. So yeah, that's what I just mentioned. Only if you agree to become a testimonial when I help you to get the results. And let's say in case if you are resisting by not joining for any reason, then what is that you can lose? What's a downside? I mean, if you're not, because this is risk-free, because if you do it, you follow the same step what we're telling you, then you definitely get the results. So there's no risk at all in that. And if in case if you are not willing to, put that virtual risk-free bet on yourself, then, you will be probably first losing out. Let's see what you will lose out here. Oh, and also, yeah, one more thing here. We'll also give you the second ticket for free. So your partner can also join since it's online. So from your home, you can have one more person who can join you in the program. So effectively, it costs only $248. Now, the next live bootcamp that we are going to do is on 28th of August till 30th of August. So that's our next batch. Make a note of this date, please. And then save this link. Of course, this will be also on our website, so you can check from there. And our next batch timing, so 28th of August is 10:30 a.m. to 5:30. And then weekend, we do 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. So it's like a full intensive training program where we give you lots of contents, lots of practical things. So it's not just like you come there and learn and then go home. No, it's basically a lot of practical exercise that we do, and then you learn, and then you really feel that evolvingness within that workshop itself. So without taking too much of time, so let's say if you don't really put that virtual risk-free bet on yourself, all you will lose is basically thousands of pounds of bonus that we are offering today. And also the potential to get the result. Like, as I mentioned, that money will come back, but the time will never come back. So see